Moving on to this, Eswatini has become the 8th African country and the second of South Africa's neighbors in which Starlink has launched. Owned by Elon Musk's SpaceX, the company made the announcement in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, earlier this week. Starlink is able to provide high-speed, stable connectivity to virtually the whole globe through its fleet of low Earth orbit satellites. Notably, this is the first time Starlink has been available at RAND pricing, and this could indicate how much the service would cost when it eventually launches in South Africa. Let's talk more on this now and speak to SABC News anchor Siphumelele Zondi. Siphumelele, always a pleasure to speak to you. Let's just start telling our viewers firstly, because you know, you and I can assume that people know what we're talking about when we talk about Starlink and satellites and all of that. But first, let's get it out of the way and tell those who don't know, what are we talking about?
All right, so Starlink is low Earth orbit satellite. So we have a variety of ways of connecting to the internet. People might know that they probably connect using their mobile devices. There's fiber to the home, and there are various methods. Now, Starlink is a satellite method, so you need to perhaps have a dish up in your home, and it connects up to the satellite that's in orbit. And the thing is, with a Starlink satellite, that they're called low Earth orbit satellites, which means they're not too far away, and therefore they can provide low latency, fast internet access that you can use in the home, that you can use in your business.
So now, then, this announcement on X, how significant is it?
Pardon, would you please repeat that, Bongiwe?
The announcement to have it in Eswatini that has been made on X, how significant is it?
Yes. So in Eswatini, the announcement that's been made is that it becomes the 8th African country that's going to have access to these Starlink services. But they still, if you are in Eswatini and you want to use Starlink services, you still need to import the kit, that Starlink kit, and it's going to cost about 12,000 Rand, as you said in the beginning, Bongiwe. So this sort of gives us an idea of, if we had Starlink here in South Africa, how much that kit would cost. And then there is a payment that you will have to make once a month and every month in order for you to subscribe to this particular service, because essentially this is a service that is for countries or areas that do not have good quality internet access. So it's for people who aren't connected to the internet as much as well as everybody else. So in Eswatini, it's still going to, because that's still quite a hefty amount, and amount across the African countries, across the different African regions, when you convert them to Rand, they range between 10,000 and 12,000 and just above 12,000 Rand in order for you to import the kit. And then every country has its own subscription service that you're supposed to pay per month.
That's quite interesting. And I mean, we're seeing reports suggesting that there are some South Africans who are already starting to use the system, but ICASA is not having it.
Oh, totally. The South Africans who started importing it, but there's a report that came out in July that says about 1,000 people in South Africa already have imported this Starlink kit. ICASA came out end of November to say, you will be fined if you do this. You are doing it illegally if you are doing this, because there have been conversations that have taken behind the scenes, that have been happening behind the scenes between Starlink, ICASA, and you've also heard mobile phone network providers saying that they too are in certain negotiations in different parts of the African continent, and possibly for South Africa too, with Starlink. So things can be done legally. So that's where ICASA is coming in to say, if you are using it, you have imported it illegally, and there are conversations, well, they haven't actually ruled out the possibility that there will be a launch at some point in the future.
Would it be a good idea, though, to have it as part of our offering in the country?
Well, in order for you to have Starlink, there are some areas in South Africa where the last mile connectivity areas, if you will, which don't actually have proper internet connectivity the way you do in urban settings. And for example, South Africa has had its SA Connect, where they want to connect everybody by the year 2030 to the internet, and they've been digging up trenches in townships and certain rural areas and providing other methods in different areas. But there are still those areas which are still struggling to connect to the internet, and that's where such services can actually be great. But there is a service that is sort of similar to Starlink, but for businesses that has that is getting a go-ahead to start launching in South Africa, and it's provided by Eutelsat, and that service can actually help with businesses that are in remote areas where connecting to the internet is a bit difficult.
Spumelele, when it comes to tech and network and everything, I always enjoy picking your brain about this stuff, because you always just make it so simple, particularly for some of us who still think E3310 is a thing. But let me thank you. Let me thank you so much. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. That is my colleague there, Spumelele Zondi. And really, now I hope you know a bit more about Starlink. I hope so. I hope Spumelele was able to just break it down for you a little bit more simpler.